Andy does. So our agency's goals the last couple of years have been to do what his agency did the year prior. Okay. So his agency was the number 2 agency in all of family heritage last year. So Andy's got a beautiful family. He's married to Carrie. He's got 2 beautiful kids. Probably the smartest kids I've ever been around, ever. He is on the growth council as well. He lives right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and Franklin, Tennessee. Okay. And he's an agency owner, the number 2 agency owner in all of production last year in all of family heritage. Like, that's a big deal. So we have Andy teaching on a part that I'm really excited about. So make sure, guys, you have a pen and paper ready to take lots of notes. I'm going to shift it over to Mr. Andy Santos.
Thank you, Kyle. Man, I feel for you, dude. What a champion of a leader you guys have. I mean, he can't even talk, and he's like, "I'm running this call. Let's go." That's what I love about Kyle. He shows up no matter what, every single day. So this is the perfect time of year for this part. It's essentially, I don't know, 10, 12, 13 points of just sort of keys to success, but really timely to start a new year. And so we're going to just hit these rapid fire. And I guarantee you one or two of these are going to just kind of hit home right between the eyes for every single person on this call. So the first thing I'll do, and it's always good to start with number one, is make a decision that this is your number one defining career that will set up the remainder of your life and maybe other people's lives as well. So burn all other bridges, get your family 100% on board, and committed to you being 100% committed to this. And you just have to take ownership of your success. If it's going to be, it's up to me, no excuses. It is a new year. So I was just watching this interview with Jeff Bezos, who's the former CEO of Amazon. And he wrote this letter where he said, treat every day like day one to build a successful company. Treat every day like day one. You're never trapped by your past, ever. So when we go into a new year, it doesn't matter what happened last year, what happened at your last job, what happened in your last season of this business. Treat every day like day one, because you can reinvent yourself anytime you want. Anytime you want. You can hit the full-on reset button and literally evolve into a whole nother story. And that's what I love about it. You do this long enough and you'll experience that. And so it's like, embrace it, lean into that, be like, dude, maybe last year didn't go like I wanted. This year is going to be totally different. Here's exactly what it's it's going to look like, and invent that. So number two, is just ownership. I know you guys talk a lot about ownership, but ask yourself this question: who do I rely on to help me progress? And if the answer is anyone other than you, then you might have an ownership issue, right? So when you want to grow and progress, you want to find the people that can help you get there, not wait around and hope someone else notices you might be struggling. So make a decision now. Who's going to be your mentor this year? Whether it's Kyle or someone else or whoever it is, who are you going to just take action, reach out to, and just enroll them in helping you get where you want to go? Cast your vision to them and go, man, I want to learn this from you and I'm going to do it. That's one of the things that Kyle does better than anybody. You know, he mentioned copy and pasting me, and it's very flattering, but he finds the people who are doing well at the things he wants to get good at, and it's rarely me, and he goes after them and he has them teach him how to do it, and then he goes and does it better than they do. It's like it's a skill. But that's available to everybody. You just have to, take the action and go ask for help, in anything you want. So number three is decide what you want. What you want, not what your leader wants for you. Decide what you actually want, right? So I always say this when I interview someone. It's like, if you at some point in your career, you want to help the agency grow in a leadership capacity, we'll help you do that. But we're never going to try to talk you into being a leader, right? So you need to decide where you want to go And then if you really do want to lead, you'll be a leader and Kyle will pour into you. But yeah, decide what you want. This is so easy to get romanced by the incentives and the leaderboards and what everybody else tells you should want. But what do you actually want? You know, super important. It gives you so much clarity. And then you can actually make a plan to do it and feel some fulfillment in the process, especially, as you approach achieving what you want. So number 4 is buy into the sales talk and buy into the process. Buy into the sales talk and buy into the process. You should know the sales talk, obviously, and the process so well that you don't need anyone. Now they're there for you, but you just don't need them. That's the most empowering thing I'm trying to tell our people coming into Sales Academy is like, dude, I want you to know this so well that training from us is just like icing on the cake. You're not relying on us. You already know the words, you know the process, but keep it simple. Keep it simple. If you're in leadership this year, make a commitment to go back to the basics. And when you're in the field with someone, you know the sales talk better than your rookies who've been studying it for 2 weeks straight. And they're just like, whoa, that's crazy. You hit every comma on that whole script. Huh, that's nuts. So buy into it. Number 5, invest in yourself. Read good books. This is the perfect time of year to reform that habit. I am hot and cold on this. I'll be the first to admit. I'll get on a hot streak and I will read in the car and it will be playing an audio book every single time I'm in it. I'll have a couple books going, physical books. I'll have all kinds of stuff going. And then all of a sudden I'll wake up and a couple months go by and I'm like, man, I fell off the wagon. So this is the perfect time to get back on the book train. I just got a book that I haven't read yet. I picked it up when I was getting stocking stuffers for the kids before Christmas. And I just saw it and I'm like, I got to get that. And it's called I Am a Badass. And it's all about self-confidence. And some of you guys are nodding your head. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to start it today, actually. But find one book and just be like, I'm reading this puppy. And make your car a university on wheels. Music is awesome, but music is entertainment. It does contribute to your state of mind and it's fun, but make that a reward, right? If you're in your car, make it a university on wheels. It just gives you so much value you can add to other people and it inspires you. And you just like 5 minutes of an audiobook, you could feel like a different person than you did before you started listening to it. So just use your car, right? It's not just transportation. It's an education device. Number 6 point I have here is don't be judicious with your time. And I'll share what I mean by that. And I learned this lesson the hard way. Let me tell you the backstory. So as a young leader in the business, I had a team of say 5 people, and I felt like I had to spend the same equal amount of time with each person because that was fair, right? If I would spend time with one person, more time with one and less than the other, I'd feel guilt. I'd be like, oh, gosh, I haven't spent time with this person yet or this person yet. And Nancy taught me that she just called me out actually. She's like, Andy, don't be judicious with your time. Spend time with people that add value to you or those people that have earned your time. Okay? People that have earned your time because they have to want it as badly for themselves as you want it for them. And oftentimes I'd be spending my time with people because it was fair in my head at the moment because I wanted them to succeed more than they did. And then I had other people that wanted it as badly for themselves as I did. And I was shorting them because I was spending time with someone else who really didn't care. So identify those people that are showing that they're worthy of you spending your time with them and pour into them, right? Number 7 is a simple one, outwork everyone on your team. I'm not really a negatively motivated person, but the one thing that does negatively motivate me is the thought that people might think that I don't work as hard as them. And so I just make sure that's never possible for them to think that because I just outwork them. So that's just a schedule thing. Get on a great schedule, have a great plan, and just outwork your team. You have to be the example of effort, no matter what that is, right? Showing up on time, showing up early, finishing the day till you say you're going to finish the day, being transparent with your schedule. I love how Kyle shares his location with you guys. That's so awesome. It's just radical transparency. And I think that's super healthy, right? I love telling people, dude, our leaders outwork everybody else in our agency. And I go to the field every single week and I cold call B2B, use a sales talk script word for word, just to set the example that you've never arrived. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, what year this is, what season this is. You have to be willing to go out there and do what you're supposed to do. And you're never willing to ask someone to do something you're not willing to do. Ever. Period. Right, Kyle? All right, number 8. Please, please, please don't underestimate the amount of effort that you're going to have to put in. Whatever your goal is. It's like that book, The 10X Rule. It's the most common mistake in business is people underestimate the amount of effort it's going to take to achieve what they want. And it's just like that in anything. It's just like getting in shape. People always underestimate the amount of effort it's going to take to try to hit their fitness or their health goal. And they always underestimate the amount of work it's going to take to hit their business goals. And so regardless of where you are on the career track, you've got to be willing to overcompensate for your lack of skill with additional effort until you're good at it. Then you need to keep going. Okay. So you should say this to the new people that you're working with. It's like, hey, you're going to have to be willing to overcompensate for your lack of skill until your skills improve. And you need to be willing to overcompensate for your lack of skill until your skills improve. Now, that might look different for you, right? That might look, maybe it's the recruiting process. Maybe it's the interview process. Maybe it's in the field. Who knows? But we all have to be willing to overcompensate and put in additional effort than we think is necessary because it's human nature to underestimate what it's going to take. Okay. If it's not a grind in some way, shape, or form, you're probably not putting in the right amount of effort. I wish that wasn't the case, but unfortunately, we're humans and that's life. So that's how it is. All right. Next one, number 9, run your business like a business. And this is true for training, selling, recruiting. All 3 of these, the same formula kind of applies, which is just whatever the metrics are, plus the sales talk or the script for that part of the business, plus your attitude, positive, expectant, attitude, that's going to give you results. Okay. Because you can go, I know what my closing percentage is. I know the sales talk, but if your attitude is trash, if you're negative, if you're doubting, if you have one foot out the door, if you're, anything other than fired up, you're not going to get the results you are than if you've got your head in the right place. And again, that head in the right place comes down to knowing what you want and having a really good plan, right? And so even though it is, Wednesday of week 1 of 2024, the calendar year, there's still, I guarantee you, people on this call that haven't solidified their goals yet, that you really haven't solidified your goal. So you need to make sure you get that done and share it with people. And so that's number 10 is set goals that matter to you. And act like your life would end if you don't do everything you can to achieve them. So every person, if somebody randomly, so here's the test, right? If I just said, Casey, fine, unmute, which you don't have to. If I just said that, please don't unmute. But if I said, Casey, driving down the road, unmute, share your goal and share your immediate metrics, what are the key metrics you need to achieve that, you should be able to say that immediately without having to think or swim at all, right? And I've been in the boat before where it's like March and someone asks, what's your goal? What's your recruiting goal? What's this goal? What's this goal? How many interviews you need to do? And I've been like, oh God, it's around this. And again, it's really hard to have a positive expectant attitude if you don't even know what you want, if you don't even know what the target is, right? So make sure you get clear on that. It's never too late, okay? So the 20% of you guys that still haven't got that done, it's okay. Get it done now. All right, number 11, is it's always good every time you start a new year and you set new goals to remind yourself and re-educate yourself on what the financial opportunity in this business actually looks like. Okay. So you get to work with people you like, you get to do something that matters, and you get to give the opportunity to set yourself up for generations. But just review how renewals work, review how you can change your financial future with this, and the impact that you'll have as you do that. Um, because it's easy to forget, and we're in the daily grind, and it's like, wait a second, holy crap. If I do this over time, the situation we're going to be in financially is absolutely bonkers. So make sure you don't just forget. And I got two more points here. So number 12 is a repeat, but it's embody excellence. And that's just the self-talk thing that I like. And the definition that I made up for excellence, because it serves me, this definition does, is that excellence is simply doing what you don't feel like doing all the time. Now, I don't know if that's the real definition of excellence, but that's my definition of excellence, because nobody is perfect. Nobody is good at everything. Nobody is, fully developed. So the one opportunity we all have is to form the habit of just doing what we don't feel like doing. And we all have that gut that goes, ooh, I don't feel like doing that. And if you can recognize that and go, therefore, I will do it. No matter what it is, at home, at work, whatever that thing is, there's 100 of them a day, is just identifying that and immediately doing it. That's excellence to me. That's the hard path, right? It's not the easy path. So embody that in what you do. And then number 12 is, at the end of the day, none of this stuff matters if you forget that what you're doing and you don't have a high conviction on what you're doing. Okay. And that's easy to get fuzzy on too, especially after you've been around a while. The novelty of, achieving things, or the novelty of claims, or the novelty of a bonus kind of can wear down or get, diminished. So just remember what you do matters. So here's a little story I'll wrap with, the little emotional close for your Wednesday morning. A lot of you guys have heard this before, but it's a golden oldie. So, all right, train more week. We're out in the great state of Utah. There's 15 of us or so there. I was not an AO yet. I had a big old goal. I had dreams of becoming an agency owner, building my team. I was fired up. We had our best week so far. It's Friday night. We're at the hotel. There happened to be a hot tub at this hotel, which was really cool. And I mean, everybody was hitting their goals. It was one of those magical train wars where, like, it wasn't just a few people and then a bunch of people that were like, okay. Like, we were all just on fire. Like, names were rolling. I'd hit my goal by Friday midday, and then surpassed it. And we're in the hot tub, and BJ Baker's across from me in the hot tub. It was like his first or second year in the business. And then this other new agent I had named Eric Hicks. None of you guys remember him, but he worked with me for a few years, and a good friend of mine. And he's new though. So we're in the hot tub. We're like, yeah. And my flight left the next evening, right? So I had like a 2-hour drive back to the airport. My flight left at like 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night. So in my head, as a human, I'm going, dude, I already crushed my goal. We all crushed our goals. And I kind of took the pedal off, and I was secretly hoping that I could just go through the motions on Saturday, or maybe even head to the airport early and count my production. You know what I mean? And have a beer, celebrate just the incredible week. And as I'm sitting in the hot tub, Eric looks at me and goes, "Hey, dude, can I follow you tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." In my head, I'm like, "Dang it. Ah, okay. I get, yeah, of course. Yeah, totally." But I remember going to bed. I'm like, well, it's all right. I got some referrals to go see. Like, it's Saturday. I'll go do some demos. It'll help Eric out. So we go out to the field. First referral I go to, Matt and Christy Nielsen. Couldn't catch up to him all week. Knock on their door because it was a weekend. He's a truck driver, so he didn't work at an office. And he just, the biggest lay down sale you've ever had, right? Come on in, drop some names, no objections at all. Just like, yeah, this is great. I love it. Cancer ICU, get some more referrals. I leave and I'm just like, dude, high five and Eric, like, dude, thanks for following me today. This is fun. Right. I think I had maybe one or two more demos, and then I did have to like go back to the airport. So I'm like, sweet. I didn't feel like going, but I did. Well, fast forward like 6, 7, 8 months later, I get a call from Matt Nielsen, and he tells me that his little boy Damon was diagnosed with leukemia. And they're 126 miles away from Central Valley, Utah, where they live, and they're in Salt Lake City, and he has no idea when they're going to get to go home. They didn't know what was wrong with him. They finally figured out it was cancer. So this little boy, Damon, spent 3.5 months in the hospital straight, did a bone marrow transplant, treatment, all that stuff. He dropped down to like skin and bones. I mean, this kid's body, he almost died. He was misdiagnosed initially by a local doctor, and that almost cost him his life. So the good news is he survived, which is awesome. But about 3.5 months into that hospital stay, Matt calls me back, has a question, and I just randomly go, "Hey, dude, like, just out of curiosity, have you been paid some cash yet? Like, is that going okay?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, dude, it's been going great." I'm like, "How much have they paid you?" And he's like, "So far, about $52,000." And my jaw just dropped. This was my first big claim, right? I was like, whoa, I can remember where I was standing in my house when I got this, when he told me that number. And I was like, whoa, that is crazy. And I was just like, yes, wow. Right. And then I go back to reservice like 4 or 5 years later, just for a long 3 day. Like I had so many clients this. I'm like, I need to go reservice them. It was fun. So flew out there, reservice clients, couldn't catch up with Matt, couldn't. Finally, again, Saturday, right before I leave, I catch up with Matt and Christy. They invite me in, and dude, Damon's there, his sister, we're all around. They're showing me the photo album from when he was in the hospital, and just the whole cancer journey. And, as I'm leaving the house, we're like hugging it out. Like Matt Nielsen literally grabs my shoulder and he's like, dude, I just got to tell you, you're like one of the 5 most important people in our life. You know how many times I've seen this guy in real life? This is the second time, literally twice. And I'm just sitting here, and I couldn't hold it in. I start crying. His wife's crying. Damon's over there trying to be tough with like no hair, and it really hit home. And when I'm driving to the airport, I remember thinking, like, just tracing it back. I'm like, wait a minute. They just told me the impact that I made. I go back to the train more. I made an extra sale. I was excited about that, right? And all that came back to, if Eric Hicks hadn't said, "Can I follow you today?" This little kid, Damon, and that family wouldn't have had the policy, and their life would look completely different, because Matt and Christy couldn't work for 3 months and their disability didn't pay them. And they have a house and 2 cars and all those different things to pay for. And I think back, like, had I not called Eric, who is my friend, a personal recruit, and recruited him, he wouldn't have been on the train more. He wouldn't ask to come follow me, right? It's just crazy how you can trace it back. But just know, like, every one of those, I don't feel like calling this person to try to recruit them. You don't know where the web's going to go that's going to literally change the trajectory of somebody's life, if that makes sense. So I think going into 2024, if we can all get, just really clear and recommitted to being our best, right? I think we can have some conversations 4 or 5 years from now that you can trace back to the beginning of 2024. So that's what I had for you guys today. Appreciate you letting me be on, Kyle.
Holy smokes. Thank you guys. Thanks, Andy. Let's give Andy a round of applause. That was phenomenal. That story makes me almost cry every single time. Like, that's